Hey everybody. I want to talk a little bit today about conflict in relationships and how important it is to understand your own view of your value. Your view of your value in the relationship, your view of your value in the conflict itself. Are you as valuable as the person you're in conflict with? And most of the time, I work with men who are husbands, and this really relates to them as they relate to their wife. But this is something that really anybody can understand and use in relationships in dealing with conflict. So, I want to introduce to you today a concept that has been so helpful to me personally, and I have seen it help other people as they grasp this and begin to work with this in their relationships. And it's something I call the four views of value. And I maintain that when people are dealing in relationships, they default to one of these views: an equal value, where they believe that I'm equal value with the person in front of me; a more value, where they believe that I'm more valuable than the person; a less value, where their view is that I am less valuable than the person in front of me; and then there's a protected value, and I'm going to talk about that in another video. But these four values are critical to understanding why we have conflict, why we react the way we do, and I think give us a clue as to some ways that we can start to overcome conflict in our life. So today I'm just looking at the less than value, or the view that you have of yourself, that you are less valuable than the person who is potentially in front of you. So as we look at that, I want to invite you to consider this view of less than value, and we're going to look at what some attitudes are that we experience when we're in that value. So here's the less than value, and this all comes from a course that I teach online called 40 Days to Up Your Game for Men in Their Marriages. But these are some of the attitudes that a person, and the emotions, the feelings that a person will experience when he or she is in a conflict, and viewing their value as less than the person in front of them. Okay, so the first one is a feeling of worthlessness. Obviously, if we're less valuable, we're worthless. There's a feeling of shame. There can be feelings of defeat, of inferiority, feelings of being alone, feelings of being belittled. And when you're feeling these things, there are these three responses that are constant in every human being, and that is fight, flight, or freeze, right? And you've probably heard that phrase before. So in this view of value, when you are viewing yourself as less valuable than the person in front of you, the fight will look like this. You will begin to fight for your worth. Fight to prove that you're important enough to be heard. Fight to overcome the feeling of not being heard or not being seen. Flight, in this area where your view of your value is less than, flight will look that I got to get away so that he or she doesn't sort of tear me down, and I know that they don't affirm me. It's really I got to get away before I get hurt worse. It's really I've got to get away before this person makes me less valuable than I'm already feeling about myself. Now, again, we're not consciously thinking all of this. This is just what happens in conflict, and you might see yourself in some of this. Freeze, when we freeze in this view of value, when we believe we're less valuable than the person in front of us, freeze looks like I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I fail every time. I'm not going to get this right, so I'm just going to stop talking. I'm just going to stop engaging in this conflict. So this is what happens when a person, and again, in my case, I work mostly with husbands, when a man is in a conflict with his wife, and he views himself as less valuable than her. So what do we do about it when that happens? What are some things that we can do that will empower us to begin overcoming? Here are some key strategies. So if you find yourself with any of those attitudes, if you find that that's a common thing you're dealing with in conflict, I'm going to give you 4 key strategies that you can take and begin to use today. So one is to begin to recognize the inner voice. And that's begin to recognize, what am I feeling? And in the course and in my coaching, I do a lot of work with helping people understand what is your view of value at this moment. But recognizing the inner voice, what am I really processing, even after the fact? What was I feeling at that moment? Because the more we recognize, and again, this is a whole other area that I do teaching on, is that how much of our interactions and relationships are coming from parts of the brain that we're not even conscious when they're reacting. But recognize your inner voice. Number 2, reflect and get outside help. I really believe that in order to overcome these kinds of difficulties and conflict, you need help. You need somebody who will come alongside and help you to process and help you to think well. And so in my own life, I've had people who have been willing to listen, people who have been willing to give feedback, people who have been willing to coach me, people who have been willing to mentor me. And this has been so helpful. And you should find someone who can help you in that area. Number 3, and this is about the area of having a less value, is recognize contempt. Contempt is a level of self-hatred that some people feel that is keeping them from actually being able to value themselves in any way. Basically, contempt says there is no worth in this person at all. And I know a lot of people who the inner message is telling them, I'm worthless, I can't do anything right, I'm a failure, I'm a loser, whatever. Recognize contempt. When you begin to see that, again, you begin to be able to do something about it. And then face and overcome shame. Shame is a large reason why we live with this less than value. And so how does shame impact us? Well, shame keeps us from being able to view ourselves as just as valuable as the person in front of us, which again takes us back to those attitudes and takes us back to those things that I was sharing with you earlier. So this is a critical reality to understand, and I want to encourage you today. If you see yourself in any one of those attitudes, if you recognize any of those things in your relational conflicts, in your relationships, I want to encourage you, you can overcome that. You can change that pattern. And I would love to help you with that. I know there are lots of other people who can help with that as well. But really today, I just wanted to give you some insight into what might be happening in those difficult conversations and those conflicts in your marriage. Could be happening with your children, could be happening in the workplace. It's really happening in all of our human relationships, all of our interactions. So I hope that's helpful. If you'd like to talk more, I'd be happy to get a message from you. You can direct message me, or you can email me at kevin@nextcoaches.com. And I'd be happy to talk with you about the situations that you're experiencing in your own life and whether I might be of help or could refer you to somebody who could help you. Because I know this, I don't know anybody personally who wants to stay in a place of defeat when it comes to relationships. So if you're a person who is ready to make a change, you're a person who is tired of the patterns and tired of the constant cycle of craziness in your relationship, get help, and you can make a change today. So hopefully that's been helpful. I'll be back again tomorrow. I'm looking forward. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to be starting a Wednesday evening interview with some friends of mine who are coaches and mentors and leaders around the world, and I'm looking forward to offering that to you right here on my Facebook page and on my YouTube channel. So have a great day, and I'll talk to you the next time.